Hey, Husker fans, welcome back to a special edition of the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. It's Chris Peterson of HuskerBigRed.com, and with me, as always, is Danny Gillette of thegreatcornholio.org. And we're going to spend a few minutes just talking about Dylan Raiola, his decommitment from Ohio State, and the likelihood of him landing at Nebraska. It was kind of probably the biggest news of any college football, kind of happening this weekend. The number one quarterback, the number one overall player in the 2024 recruiting class out of Chandler, Arizona. His dad, of course, Dominic Raiola, the Nebraska Hall of Famer, Remington Award winner, on and on and on. His uncle is Donovan Raiola, on the coaching staff right now, coaching the offensive line. So there's a lot of hope for Nebraska fans right now with Dylan Raiola. But is it realistic, Danny? Is there an actual chance that Dylan Raiola, the number one QB in 2024, will commit to Nebraska?
I would say yes, but I'm not overly confident that he will 100% commit. I think we do have a shot. I think now that we have a I don't, competent head coaching staff, I think our chances are a little bit better than previous regimes. But there's going to be a lot of interest, and Nebraska is obviously not going to be the only one who wants this kid. So I think we're really going to have to work for this one, and if we landed him, I would be absolutely ecstatic. If we didn't land him, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm not trying to get my hopes up either way.
Yeah, I don't want to get my hopes up either way, but Matt Rule definitely seems engaged. He tweeted out the Undertaker sitting up after, soon after. We don't know if it was connected to that, but it sure seems like it was. And he tweeted out last night just 2024 and the fire emojis.
Yep.
That could have to do with Dylan Raiola. It could have to do just with the tenor of the entire 2024 class. But Matt Rule knows the score, and he knows what's at stake here. And I think he can see his future quarterback at Nebraska and in Dylan Raiola. We don't know if there's been any connection there, but it's interesting though, thinking back. Steve Sipple of Husker Online a couple of weeks ago, I remember he tweeted out something and said it wasn't over with Dylan Raiola. Don't count out Dylan Raiola. And now there's this decommitment. So I mean, he had to have known something. That Raiola wasn't happy with Ohio State or whatever. And look, Ohio State's done this a couple of times with kids. I mean, going back to when they were recruiting J.J. McCarthy, who torched him a couple of weeks ago in Columbus, they told him they weren't going to take a quarterback, and then they ended up taking a quarterback a few weeks later. So I mean, they do sometimes have trouble with communicating with guys, and whatever happened, I'm glad that Raiola's back on the market, and I think Nebraska's going to be solidly among a list of contenders. It's not going to be easy, but I'm interested to see where he goes, what he does with his visits, and how kind of quickly he picks up that schedule. But I would expect Georgia, Clemson, USC, Oregon, Arizona State, a lot of those schools to kind of get in the mix. So yeah, those are, some of the other schools at play, but I feel like Nebraska's got a really good shot at it. And I think there's a lot of kind of facts that, kind of back that up.
Yeah, isn't his brother committed here too for 2026?
His brother has an offer. He's not committed,
Offer?
but yeah, but Mickey offered his brother. And I don't know if, I'm not sure if Matt Rule has said anything about that or commented on that, but I'm sure he would probably honor that offer too, trying to get the older brother here as well. And get them both. I mean, who knows if the younger brother's anything like Dylan, I'm sure it would be well worth it. But that was actually the reason that Dylan was here on that visit. I think it was for the Wisconsin game.
Yep.
Was that his brother actually was here on an unofficial visit. So I mean, that was a smart move by Mickey Joseph to kind of make that happen. And look, that was the last recruiting visit that he took. He's been in Nebraska 5 times, which is the most of any team that's not Ohio State. And like we said in a different video, you have to look at the QB situations here. I know USC is a natural fit, with what's happened with Caleb Williams, but they've got Malachi Singleton, a top 5 player, a 5-star committed in 2023. Alabama's got a bunch of they've got 2 quarterbacks in 2023 and another one committed in 2024. Georgia just took a 2024 quarterback. They could take 2 because they missed on Arch Manning in 2023 and didn't get one in this class. So, that's always possible. Clemson, they're kind of in a similar boat they had a 2023 quarterback, but I definitely could see them, they've been in it with Jaden Davis, who is ranked number 2 in this class. So I would expect them to, really make a push for Dylan Raiola as well. And Arizona State, the local school with Kenny Dillingham, is a really good offensive coordinator. So there's some real contenders here, but I feel like Nebraska, right now, if I had to rank them, I might put Nebraska at number 1 just based on the relationships, the quarterback situation. I mean, he could come here. NIL's not, they said it wasn't a big deal, but Dylan Raiola would absolutely kill it at Nebraska in NIL. And who knows? There's got to be some attraction to trying to rebuild your dad's program. I mean that Dominic Raiola kind of starred in. So it felt like if Scott Frost didn't screw it up, Nebraska would have had a shot. So I feel like they have a shot right now.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like they have a shot, and I feel better about where they stand with him right now than I did say, 5 months ago. And I think if Nebraska were to hypothetically land Rayola, that would give them, a cornerstone player for the 2024 class. And I'm not going to say a signature recruiting win for Matt Rule because there's still a lot of time between now and then for a Matt Rule signature recruiting win, especially with the way he's been recruiting over the past couple weeks. But that would definitely be one of his bigger recruiting wins, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, the Rayolas have said they're going to take their time and start this recruiting process over. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a situation where you see a commitment like right away. Most of the time, these guys do like to be committed before the season, quarterbacks. So, I mean, my anticipation would be sometime this summer after, he can take official visits and all that type of stuff. But the thing with Nebraska, too, is they're going to have to prove it on the field. I mean, Matt Rule's going to have to show something on the field this year to, kind of entice, Dylan Raiola and these other recruits, because people don't want to come to a losing program or a program that, is still miles away from the playoffs. So if Nebraska can, put together a 6, 7, 8 win season on the field this year, I think that's going to, do really a lot of good things for this upcoming recruiting class in 2024, and that's how you get a kid like Raiola, get him in the fold, and then show him on the field why Nebraska is going to be trending up, and why he can compete for playoff spots and national championships and all that at Nebraska.
And honestly, the schedule is very favorable, in my opinion, for Nebraska football this season. And so, meaning 2023. So, I don't see any reason why they couldn't get to that, plateau of, 7, or I'll say 6 or 7 because I don't want to aim too high. I've been disappointed before, but no, I definitely think that all the signs are trending in the right direction for Rayola. And while he's by no means a guarantee to Nebraska, I definitely feel better about where they stand with him than I did, like I said, even just 5 or 6 months ago.
Yeah, even just 5 or 6 days ago, because he
Yeah.
was committed to. I mean, so it's a whole new world right now in terms of him, and it's opening up, at an interesting time just after signing day and right around signing day. So it's going to be a really interesting process, and it's going to affect some other guys, like Daniel Kalen was one of the top, targets in the 2024 class. And I mean, you would think he would get bumped down the board just a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see, because the focus right now, I think, is on 2023 and trying to, get these transfers and get this roster kind of finalized for next year. And I do see Nebraska being kind of a player in the late signing period too. So, I mean, I think that's probably where the focus lies, but this could be a game-changing player. And frankly, there's not many other chances for Nebraska to get guys like this. And we talked about, they passed on Joe Burrow essentially. They didn't really recruit Max Duggan that hard. And so, I mean, at the very least, I don't think they're going to make that mistake with Raiola. They're going to put everything they can, in his basket, and we'll see if it works out. But I mean, the fact that we've got Matt Rule, a former NFL head coach, I think it's certainly, and a guy that's been a proven winner at college, I think it's certainly going to help Nebraska's case, though.
Joe Burrow and Max Duggan, two names that just made me go, what could have been? But yeah, no, I think this staff has, a fairly reasonable, I'll say, shot at landing Rayola. I think, like you said, their track record of development and the fact that, Rayola could come in and start right away is very, very appealing. I think it will be interesting to see what they do with the 2024 class, but, you know, I think this staff has shown that they at least want to put the energy and effort into recruiting him, and that goes a long way because we all we've all kind of probably heard about the last time we tried to recruit him and that didn't go so well. So I'm encouraged with this staff.
And Parkerthune, of Oklahoma insider from 24/7 Sports, has already put in a crystal ball for Dylan Raiola. So I mean, we'll see. I'll wait for Steve Wiltfong and some of these other guys before I get too excited, but that definitely, I think, reinforces the idea that Nebraska is going to be a contender in this recruitment all the way to the end. So I think it's going to be a name that you hear. I think that they're going to get Dylan Raiola on campus for visits, for an official visit. I mean, I'd be stunned if he didn't take an official visit to Nebraska at this point. So yeah, I mean, gear up for it. I think it's going to be a lengthy process. I don't think we're going to see like a commitment in the next month or so, but I like where Nebraska stands. And as Trev Alberts always says, if they can get him to Nebraska, they have a good chance to get him to commit. And I think they're going to get Raiola for, a couple of visits here, honestly, at least an official visit for sure.
Yeah, they're really gonna have to work on trying to get him to commit, just simply because of the fact that he's probably gonna have interest from several big name schools. So while this may be a longer commitment, I think it could pay off in the long run, and I think this will give the staff a chance to really kind of sit back and focus their recruiting efforts on him among others. But they definitely have him circled on their recruiting board.
That they definitely do, just like we all have. So make sure you guys, get into the comment section and tell us how realistic you think it is for Dylan Raiola to wind up in Nebraska. Maybe you don't think it's very realistic at all, but make your arguments. We've made our case. We think that there's a very good chance that he could come here. It depends how the staff kind of seals it up, but Nebraska is definitely in the mix for Dylan Raiola. So we'll keep that, on our radar. And there's a lot to keep on the radar with Nebraska football recruiting. So make sure that you subscribe to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our content. And as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.